Beautiful. All right. We are live this morning. I am Tanya with Back2Basics. Everybody knows me. That's maybe not a good thing. And our guest this morning is Kim Perrine. So did I say the last name right? I feel like I always slaughter your last name.
Yeah, it depends on which where you're coming from. The demographics change. So yeah, Perrine, Perrine, yeah, Perrine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perrine.
We hear, yeah. I've even heard Prime. I'm like, oh yeah, Prime.
So Kim is a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, a CBD advocate, a mom. She's a woman of many hats. And Kim, this is the first time, first guest that I've had this year so far, where I didn't have a really long history with you previously, or working relationship or friendship. We just kind of met each other in the last year, and just really kind of getting to know each other. And actually, Kim, I'm just going to say really quick, funny story. So Kim actually was stalking me on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, stalking me to come join one of the networking groups that you belonged to at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I think it took a couple of months even after that I kind of jumped on board, because I was in the middle of trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I grew up. So that's kind of how we met. And I think we've had one in-person meeting, 2 in-person meetings.
2.
Yeah, over this last year. But yeah, it's been kind of a weird year, don't you think?
This year, yeah, 2021 is going down in the record books because 2020 didn't exist.
Yeah, you know what? We joke about that, but I, honest to God, there's times where I'm like, yeah, we just did this last year, and I'm like, no, wait a minute, that was like 2 years ago, or or this happened. Nope, that was like 2 years ago. It's thrown my whole timeline off, and like legit thrown my timeline off. I have to go back to documentation to figure out contracts, and I have to figure out school things, and I have to figure out, because in my mind it was like just like last year. It's so weird that can happen, and we've gone on with our life through 2020. It's not like life stopped, but for some reason there's like this disconnect.
100%. I'm always like, oh yeah, last year. I mean 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, no, last so it's not just me.
No.
Like, oh my gosh,
no, it's not.
Early dementia. So where was I going with this? So Kim, before we jump in, do you want to just kind of tell people a little bit of your background? Because you and I bonded over not business stuff. We kind of bonded over some familiar stuff when we first met, and things that were happening in your life with your kids that were very adjacent to what was happening in my life with my kids at one point, and how that affects us as moms and women in business, and just women of faith, and where that was going, and how all of that is kind of shifted over the last few years because of our kids. And it's really hard sometimes to say, when I'm in the office, I've got my work shades on, and when I'm at home, I've got my family goggles on. But that's just, you can't, right? Yeah, you can't just, there's only so much you can compartmentalize. So anyway, do you want to introduce yourself?
Exactly. Yep. No, Kimberly Perrine. It's my newest name. Backstory: I've been married a few times. This one is my best and final. Love them to death. We're best friends, yin and yang. But when we got together, we blended a family. And prior to that, I was a single mom of 4 children, a few different dads. So it's complicated. And yeah, family struggles, business struggles. I think last year, the youngest of my son was in a rollover car accident. And so that put a whole new perspective on business life priorities. And, he survived. So we're very, very grateful. And that brought me into the whole faith conversation of, higher powers. And I say, because there are many and they come in many names and we all have our own belief. But yeah, I worked in the dental business for the first 20 years, fell into independent insurance agent for the last 21, 22 years. And now I'm branching out as a CBD advocate. And that was prompted because of one of the big struggles. My younger daughter struggles with many mental challenges, mental illness. She's actually on disability and has been since she was 17, in and out of treatment for eating disorders and addiction disorders and self-harming and just struggles. And I think going forward, there's going to be more of that. And I just need a voice of support and love and no judgment, and raising people up, be it my own. I use the hashtag mom of many because, we've had a lot of young adults. I've allowed that since I think I calculated in the last 20 years, we've had numerous male, female, fluid, gender identifying, just have a safe place at our house. They can crash on the couch for a night, month, couple months.
Yeah, that's where you and I really connected, because when my husband and I were in that same position, and that went on for years, like 2020 kind of cleared the house out a little bit. But yeah, not for you, but
added to.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one or two new, but for the most part, it kind of cleared some stuff up for us. But previous to that, we would always get the, oh my God, are you adopting them? Are you going through an agency? Are you going? And no, my kids would call them the strays. They've been the strays, right? And you and I talked about that and talked about what that does to the family dynamic, what that did to our business focus, what that did to our prayer focus, what that did to how that affected our mental health, right? Our financial situation, all these things, but we wouldn't change it either.
Never even give it a second thought.
No. Yeah, I had so many people going, that's a huge liability. What are you doing? I just didn't even second guess it. When you see a kid in need.
Yeah, they just need a little oomph. And looking back now on some of the earlier ones, we're talking, probably, like I said, over the last 20 years, I've lost count at this point, but they're thriving. They're doing amazing things. And I'm still, connected with them, even though they may or may not be connected with the child that, initially, introduced them to our family, but we are definitely very, very blessed.
That's awesome.
To have that happen.
So let's talk a little bit about your journey into adulthood.
Oh, I'm working on that. I might start.
We
in a couple years.
We had some goals in mind when we set out of high school, probably even before high school. And those goals just did not go as planned. I'm on my third marriage and he is my forever. But it took a few lumps to get to that point, in a lot of blending and a lot of challenges and a lot of stress.
Good and bad stress.
Yeah, a lot of financial hits when you go through those transitions. For me, I grew up in kind of a rural area, farm area. And I had an auntie who was an entrepreneurial spirit, right? And I kind of focused a little bit on that she was able to take control and run her own business. She's actually not doing that anymore, actually, for a number of years now. But while for the most of my childhood, that's what I remember of her and my uncle running this business of themselves. where my mom was just the opposite. She needed to have this steady job, and she was a VP at a bank, and she had worked at this bank her entire career that I remember until she retired, and then finally did what she wanted to do. Like, she was stuck at this other job because it was that steady, it was that norm, it was that one thing that she could count on. But I feel like her passion wasn't there, and then she tried to follow that passion in another startup business. So I feel like they all had this kind of inner drive to want that of them for themselves, but it wasn't always an easy road. And my grandparents were farmers who also worked on the docks at one point. Not when I knew them as a kid, they were always farmers when I was a kid, but there was always this really hard path work ethic. It wasn't easy work. It wasn't the safe space to go, but they did what they had to do for their family. And they garnered a lot of integrity and trust from the surrounding community behind that name. And that's what growing up, I thought, you know what? I didn't want to be the millionaire. I didn't want to be it's nice to have money, but that wasn't like my goal, right? Everybody says, shoot for the stars. Where would you be? I wanted to be a psychologist. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be, none of what I had envisioned in my head were like huge money making career focuses. I knew I wanted a family. I knew I wanted to be married at a certain point. And then life kicked me in the ass, and God said, you know what? This is not the path. You keep veering off course, and kept pulling me back. And I feel like I'm in a really, really good headspace now. And I still get that outside voice, though, from people around me going, but don't you want more? Don't you want to grow into a big agency? Don't you want to have this? Don't you want, where do you want to take your finance? At the end of the day, I just want to know that my kids are going to be in a good financial situation if I'm not here, that I'm not going to be living under a bridge because I can't afford medical costs because my family doesn't have great health history. Those are my goals. I want to be an astronaut when I grow up. Where were you when you were a kid? What did you see? How did your path change? And when do you feel like it kind of changed for you?
Yeah, similar path. My father worked for the railroad, and so hard work.
I
Yep.
never knew that in our little discussions. My birth dad worked on the railroad. That's interesting. Okay, sorry, keep going.
Yep, but he got in because his dad worked for the railroad and was also, I grew up in Northeast Minneapolis, so I was inner city. And my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side, they actually farmed their backyard in Minneapolis, and they lived out, they had canned and pickled everything. And then on my mother's side, she just worked and probably multiple jobs at any given point because she was always hustling, like working. She's been an Avon lady since I can remember. I remember as a small child running around Avon books to people's doors, and she's still selling Avon because she's got that drive to want to, but she had to have a job. And then I knew my grandparents, they worked, hard jobs. My great grandmother, I knew her. She was, I think their family owned bakeries, and they were always in the kitchen baking. And they also had a backyard farm. So I remember growing up, working, always doing.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a dentist. And, I actually thought about a few, because I fell into it. I was a babysitter at 10, started babysitting, making money, getting your own money. At 14, I got a call from the dentist that I had been babysitting for. And he's like, we have a job. And I was like, job? I'm 14. He's like, come on in, we'll train you. So dental assisting pretty much full-time with school ever since. And then
wow.
So yeah, working was always, I can't imagine ever not working or doing something.
Right. Yeah. We don't sit still very long.
Yeah. And the mind, changed from a job versus a business. it's always been a bubbling factor for me. I think that's why I couldn't hold a job as a dental assistant, because I wanted more. And I didn't really realize that because it wasn't something people talk about, especially as a female. It's like, no, you're going to get married, you're going to, have kids. And I was like, no, I want to be a dentist. I want to travel. And they're like, no, get a job.
I read that elf on that Rudolph special at Christmas. I want to be a dentist.
Yeah, exactly. Long story short, not going to happen. And then, like I said, then I fell into independent insurance agency because as a single mom, I needed the flexibility and the freedom to be with the kids when they needed me. I wanted to go to the band concert at 2:00 in the afternoon for their 4th grade saxophone. I wanted to be there. And as a job, it's like, no, you can't rearrange your lunch break. I was like, yes, I can. And so long story short, and that's why I do what I do, because I can, and it makes more sense for me. I don't have a 9-to-5 brain. It's like, I'm constantly thinking about how to improve, constantly marketing, you're always, working on some piece of a business thought, even in off times, I don't have an on and off switch. It's just on.
Yeah. I think that sense of taking back control of your time is a really big reason why, especially women, look at kind of that entrepreneurial path, right? Owning their own business. In reality, it's a lot of damn work and a lot of time.
Yeah, we've lost all control of time.
Right? But still being able to say, you know what, I need, I'm sorry, I have something planned. I can put something on my calendar to go, I have an appointment. I'm picking up my kid, but I have an appointment scheduled, or you couldn't do that under somebody else's.
Right. They could.
Guys, right. They could. Yeah, exactly. But, and that was a challenge when I was going between spouses and was single mom. That was a challenge with the whole daycare versus having to clock in. When can I clock out? When do I have to pick them up? Constantly feeling this anxiety of I'm going to be late, or I'm going to get I'm going to get in trouble, or my kid's going to get stranded, or there was always that fear of it's just not going to be enough, and racing around. So there is less of that, but I do work a lot more hours just because those other things filter in. And so now I've got to filter through. So
right. Exactly.
I don't get to shut it off at 5:00, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not just shut off. Oh, let's go have fun. But the brain's just always thinking, well, what else can I do? Well, how else can I improve that? Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, I better do that.
Yeah. How do you manage that? So now, like with your insurance business, you have a little bit of that. If I walk out of the office at 5, it's off, right? They're not
a little bit,
right? But you're also now exploring going into a CBD retail type business.
I explain it as I'm a certified CBD advocate and lobbyist. I've been, educated and chatting with a lot of people within that community. And it's more of a boutique shopping experience, or it's a one-on-one or a small group or whatnot, where I can help people navigate how they may want to explore CBD or medical marijuana, or the hemp cannabis thing, because it's fast and it's ever changing, and people are either having no experience or a bad experience, or just not even trying it because they're afraid or unknown, or I know it, I've heard about it, how can it help me? And so that's definitely one it's kind of, again, built out of a necessity. After helping my daughter and my stepdaughter get through the medical marijuana navigation when it first came here about 7-8 years ago, and then getting myself on it 3 years ago, I've got experience, and I know how frustrating it is, because it was very frustrating, and I knew it was also something that potentially could help her. And I was laughing, we were but I also have the support from the kids because it's such a needed thing. They're like, Mom, you really need to talk to people about this because they don't understand. And it can help a lot of people. I've been sending petitions down to the Senates, and
It's a lot of work.
it is, but it's, I don't think of it as work because it's just who we are and what I'm doing.
It's your passion. Yeah.
It's a passion, and it's just part of our life because I'm already doing it. I might as well help other people.
Well, even with passions though, we have to put some parameters.
Yeah, boundaries.
Boundaries.
You bring that up because I tell people that all the time. Giving advice is really an easy thing. Listening to your own advice
is something very difficult.
Not so good.
No, I was talking to another industry colleague yesterday. They're on a much different level of playing field in my industry. I'm more of that one-on-one, lock arms, handle all the little tiny minutia things about your brand. They're more of a very functional, high functioning agency with specific tools and resources and tech that they use for e-commerce people. They're up here. I'm here, right? I'm working with the little guys and their next level. But even at that, we're talking about how to, setting boundaries and prioritizing that time. And even with him having multiple people on his staff, they still find themselves struggling to attend to their own business. And we were kind of laughing about it. It's like, do as I say, but don't look at my website. Don't look at my stuff, right? Because I'm telling you the right way to do it, but I haven't had time to do that. In my own business, because I'm taking care of you people.
Exactly. It's like, do as I say, but don't do as, don't watch what I'm doing.
Follow my example. Just hear me.
Yeah, I know how to do it. I just haven't done it. I know. It's so frustrating.
No time to breathe, right? I could be doing that. And I used to do that. Here's the thing, like 3-4 years ago, I would be up 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning working on my stuff. And I'd be going 2 hours of sleep, 3 hours of sleep. But at some point, you come up for air and you get a little fresh breath and you just like, you know what, that felt good. I don't know if I'm going to give that up right now. And so I'm trying to put more and more boundaries in place. It's harder with people that I've already had this working relationship with, right? You've kind of opened the gate. It's hard to get the horses back in at that point. But certainly with new people, I'm much more strict about my time and availability. How do you see going into this startup? Because when we have startups, we're like 50 hats and whatever business we can get in, and those boundaries are out the door because we're just trying to get the momentum moving. So how are you, or even maybe you haven't thought about it, but how would you balance now, having run businesses before, been in startup situations before, knowing you've got to get this momentum going at some point on this other business, but yet not overextend yourself?
Exactly. Very, very creative calendaring. I'm very, time blocking is one thing that I heard about and kind of right up there with vision boards. Whatever, I don't need to do that. No, you need to do vision boards. You need to do time blocking. So at least once a week, I take a moment and I actually have time blocking scheduled to sit down and look, okay, what's scheduled out? What is a priority? And I throw everything on the electronic calendar. So on my, the Outlook, the actual calendar, everything goes on there. And then I take a paper planner and I pull off the for sure's, the do not misses, the family time, the fun time, that, the important meetings, and the rest of it's like, it's here. If I've got time, if I'm free, I'll do it, like certain Zooms or certain, calls you want to get on, and just being very creative and and just be aware that everything's also very fluid. You know,
Yeah.
some of it may change, and some of it you may not be able to watch it live. You may have to watch it on a recording, and you may never watch the recording and be okay with that.
Yeah.
Just be okay with not doing everything.
I have a ton of emails where I had good intentions to watch a webinar, knew they were going to send me the recording, sent me the recording, and it's 6 months later and I still haven't gotten to the damn recording.
Mhm.
And it's not because I don't find the information fascinating or informative or even needed. It's just trying to find the time. And at the end of the day, I'm going to prioritize my family over that, or even some me time. And me time for everybody, this is another hot topic for people. When I tell people I walk away from my desk, get something to eat at night, come back, do maybe another hour or two of work, and then I go into my living room or family room and then just binge watch some TV. They're like, yeah, don't you want to get out? Don't you think this is where you could be doing exercising? You could be doing this, you could be doing, but for me, mindless, right? So there's this connotation that Americans watch too much mindless TV, and there's no probably about it. There's truth to that.
Yes.
But for me, that mind numbing hour or two that I'm doing that takes my brain out of, oh my God, I've got 40 other things that I know if I were thinking about, it pulled me right back into the damn office. And now I've just lost my boundaries again.
Going. Yeah,
Right?
I have a similar thing. I like to game. I like to, I don't watch TV because I've just never been a big TV person. Actually, for years we didn't even have a TV.
Yeah.
But I'm a gamer. I like, I was back in the day, Tetris, crossword puzzles, Scrabble, Boggle. And
you would get along with my IT guys so well.
Yeah, it's just like my daughter's boyfriend bought me a Switch for my birthday, a little Switch Lite, and got me Animal Crossing, and I like to go feed my little animals because it's a dumb. I'm not thinking about anything. It's kind of when you have to restart your computer, you shut it down, and then it comes back, and it's we're working now. It's the same kind of. I'm gonna go play Pokemon for a little bit. And I love Pokemon. I'm like almost ready to be able to create my own little Pokestop in my house. So I'm just, and the gaming, yeah, it's that same kind of inner child trigger, which I just heard that just recently. Somebody was like, yeah, you got to go tap into your inner child. I'm like, yeah, tap into her. She's here all the time.
I tried the walk. I get on the walk and I start thinking about stuff that I got to get done. I go on a walk with a person, we start talking, and it immediately goes back to more of
a stimulation,
right? Things I got to get done. And so now I'm like re-energized to get stuff done. And it's like, oh my God, I just need a break.
Reset.
I even tried going to a meditation class, and I was getting acupuncture every week there for a while, which I need to get back into for other reasons. But I was trying to use that time to kind of decompress and relax. And he's like, yeah, you could go to sleep. I'm like, no, I lay there and I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to check my emails. I got to check my, so if I don't have that mind numbing thing to like pull my brain off, then I just can't shut it off. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, I think that's the same with me. I just can't. I can't do fast yoga, and I can't do walking because it doesn't reset me. I've learned over the last few years that I can do restorative yoga and yin yoga, but I have to bring an eye mask because it forces my eyes to stay closed. Because even when I'm in yoga, we're laying there in shavasana, I'm so like, oh, what's going on? Oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's like, no, but I have actually physically put like a little wrap around my head. And so I'm doing yoga with my eyes completely shut because I won't keep my eyes shut. It's just like, nope. Even they say, okay, no, just sit here and meditate and, close your eyes. And I'm like, I can't. I want to see what's going on. Oh, I heard a noise. Oh, I heard a cough. Oh, I heard this.
I'm like, sure. And you've talked about this. You have like a ADD.
Yeah. I'm diagnosed, but I'm assuming because my daughter, it was diagnosed in 9th grade that she is ADHD.
Okay.
And really dyslexic.
Yeah. Which was another thing that our daughters had in common. Yeah. And my son. Yep. So, I'm sure if I went, I'd probably be diagnosed with ADD, but I just feel like I've figured out these little workarounds and they're working for me. And
who needs a label? I mean,
right.
like,
And you can judge me for the way I want to do it, but that's fine. I'm just going to keep doing it that way. It's been working for the most part. I think
we
it's
don't
been
need
working.
to, work with everybody. It's like there's plenty to go around. There's lots of people on this planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to be true to ourselves. And I think that's what we forget sometimes is like, well, I have to write, I have to do business with you, and you. It's like, no, I want to do business with you, but we don't click. So I'm not going to do it with you. But
right.
It's like,
I didn't used to be that way a few years ago. Now I'm more picky about.
Yeah, we can be picky because it works both ways. Same with, clients or customers or whatever you want to call them. It's like, if they don't resonate with you, then why waste both of our times?
Yeah.
I had a relatively bad phone call yesterday. Somebody called up because they were calling 20 times. I was on the phone, I was in meetings and all that kind of stuff. Never left a voicemail, never, did anything else. And just, I answered when I did answer the phone. He's like, I've been calling 20. I'm like, okay. Did you leave a voicemail? Did you you just keep redialing? Isn't,
an emergency? Is someone dying right now?
No, he wasn't even a client. He was just somebody calling. And I understand it's, everybody expects everything yesterday, but we're also very short-staffed and very overworked and as just an entity.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I've been having a dickens of a time. A few years ago, they were contacting me. They were crawling out of the woodwork to they were looking for a mentor, or they wanted to come. What is the word I'm looking for?
Internship kind of a thing?
Internships, right? I'm looking for an internship. And at that point, I didn't have enough work, or I had staff in place, or there wasn't a place for them. Now that I need that and I want that to keep, I can't find anybody.
Nope. I don't know
the ones that I do
binge watching TV, Netflix.
And the ones that I do find are looking for they want payments, or there's just the expectation, not even so much the payment, but what they're asking for in compensation.
Mm-hmm.
Just new out of the gate, no experience, and only wanting to focus on one little thing that they happen to learn in a book.
$60,000 a year. Can I just, yeah, no, I know.
Okay, well, there's big agencies, that might work for. That's not going to work here. Or the work ethic is the other thing.
It's gone.
There's no accountability.
No,
if
I'm
somebody
take a nap, I'm tired, I don't feel good today, so I'm just not going to show up.
Right.
I'm gonna clean my house. I gotta walk my dog.
I had two.
It's like all that stuff you did off site or on the weekends, or it's get done. I mean, my laundry is
I had two young kids in kind of that. I'm exploring digital marketing, or I'm exploring web design, or I'm exploring graphic art. They're exploring some type of digital media career of some sort, and wanted to come on as an intern, sign the contract, and then no show, no communication. I couldn't find them. I'm like, what's happening? Are we going to go through this? Now, I'm sure part of it is, again, I'm an independent kind of a boutique thing, and there might be looking for that agency foot in the door, more elaborate experience, but at least have the common courtesy. I feel like courtesy is just out the window in every facet of our lives right now. At least that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling very frustrated with social attitudes right now.
Exactly. Social attitude is crazy. I've been hearing that across the board. My oldest daughter, she's the executive pastry chef over at Interlochen, and she can't get staff. She can't keep staff. And if she has staff, they call off, they no show, they leave early. I'm just not. I know this is on the list, but do I have to do it? Yeah, you have to do it. It's on the list. It's got to get done.
Or what happened to, when I came into this business, somebody would tell me, this is kind of the goal of what we have to do. Or I would see a need and I would just jump in and start doing stuff. Now I feel like, and then I was always told, don't micromanage. But son of a gun, if you're not like on them about what's the next, they just sit there, they get on their phones. They're like, and I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know. What do you want me to do? Seriously? you can't see the 40 things around you that need to be done right now.
I know it's in every industry.
So
I mean, we're seeing it everywhere. Morgan, she's got a little part-time job at retail, and she's like, the managers don't even know what they're doing. She goes, I'm like telling them,
or checked out. Yeah,
everybody's just checked out, just like whatever. Somebody will come take care of it. Somebody will come take care of me. Somebody will come take care of me. It's like, nobody's coming to save you.
Yeah. My son was working at a very big name brand. It's not a hardware store. I don't know what you call them.
Like a home improvement store.
Home improvement. Thank you. That's what I'm thinking of. So it's a big name home improvement store. I don't want to call anybody out here, but he was working there. And this past year, the people on the floor, they were working like dogs, extra hours, doing all this extra stuff, taking abuse from customers, death threats from customers. I call them team leads or the managers, the floor managers weren't to be found anywhere. They were always hiding in the back office or something else going. They were just checked out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if you can't even be there to lead your people and you're throwing your people to the dogs, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I feel like we've gotten off tangent, but it goes back to that whole
that work ethics that,
what
integrity.
Yeah.
I was actually, that's a conversation, networking. I love networking. One of these days, my book will get finished. The chapters are there. I just need to have somebody read it and make sure it looks and reads well. But it's not about, people are like, well, which industry is your best referral partner? Which, who do you want me to introduce you to as far as industry? I'm like, it's not about the industry. It's about the person, because I need the work ethic. I need their integrity. I know that they're going to follow through. They're going to be honest. Right. And the more honest, the better. And, because that way, is this going to fit or if it's not going to fit? And
right.
It's about the person. And we're, people are, I think even in businesses, they're stepping away from, oh, well, what job do you want? Or what industry do you want? I'm like, anybody can do a job. Anybody can do the work. I want to know who that person is.
I want to trust them. I want to know that there's quality and purpose behind what they're doing. I want to feel comfortable with them. I want to see the integrity. I want to see that work ethic. Like they've got skin in the game. And I feel like the last few years, that's just been getting
and I don't even think people even and there's no apologies.
No. Well, when you've got very public leaders, and whether that's in your financial industry or your celebrity public persona, your political public persona, all of these people that have these platforms, right, are now showing not such great
grace
character or grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would you expect the sheep to do anything different?
I know, and that's just it. It's like if I forget something, I'm like, sorry, I forgot. I'm busy. I'll get on it right now. I'm sorry. I own it. I messed up. I'm sorry. I'll fix it if I can. It's like, and that's something you just don't even see or hear anymore. People are like, yeah, I know I didn't do it. What do you want from me? It's like, say you're sorry. Say I'll take care of it. Say I'll try. I'll try to make it better. Yeah, it's Mm-hmm.
My kids are in this apartment complex in Minneapolis, and a few nights ago, it got shot at. They went to the ownership of these buildings and building management and said, what are you going to do? And what can you do for us? How can you make us feel safe, or are you going to let us out of the contract? Now, granted, I don't think there's any legal recourse that says that these property owners have to let them out of their rental agreement.
No.
However, they did absolutely nothing to comfort these people in this building. And this wasn't in a horrible part of
No,
Minneapolis when this happened.
it's
But
happened everywhere.
the front area of this building has no lighting.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark. There are no cameras. There's nothing there that says we take your safety. Their response was, we're sorry this happened.
Mm.
And that was it. No, nothing beyond that. And so that accountability, that integrity, that trust, it seeps into every little facet of our lives right now. And I keep hammering this home with my kids. And I hope that this is something that shifts in their generation, but it makes it challenging not only in your personal lives, but then that seeps into your business life. And as a mom, as a woman in business, doing, trying to help those little guys, it's really frustrating sometimes to see that happen, or to see people being taken advantage of. And
Yep, I see it, and I agree with that very, very strongly.
yeah,
Everybody just, like you said, very detached. It's like, well, it
yeah,
doesn't be directly, but if they had family in there, they might put lights in. They might
might
do
be
more.
different. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you going to address that in your CBD business because I'm sure there's all sorts of sharks in the water trying to put their toes in that industry. And I'm sure it's just like in any industry, a few bad apples give the whole damn thing a black eye. So
well, yeah, it's true. And that's exactly one of the that's one of the stronger points why I want to do this is, because there are products out there that are being made in people's basements, their garages, you don't know what's in there, and they're selling them in local retail shops, even here in the cities. I know a few that's what they're doing. They're making them in the back room. It's like, which is okay, but not for general consumption, that's for, and so when I'm going out there, I'm vetting, the products that I'm partnering up with, and I'm talking with them. I actually, when I can, I've actually gone to see where they're actually making it, see their actual process. And, I'm being very particular as to which brand I'm partnering up with. I'm not just like, okay, yeah, we're going to do everything. And you kind of know after a while, you just kind of get a vibe for who's doing, doing it right and who's doing a little sketchy. And you just, you can't, like you said, you can't go out and tell everybody, I'll stay away from them, but you can kind of redirect them over, well, maybe you should try this one instead. And that's just it. Just being aware of it, I think, is half the battle, and then helping people, understand that, yes, there's a huge difference between, one and the other.
So how is Kim today versus Kim 2 years ago?
Oh, night and day difference. Night and day. Yeah. I'm actually, I've taken up golf, which I've never done, and, getting out and telling my story, sharing who I am and where I'm going, and not, you get that little angst, like, oh, I shouldn't do that. I'm not worthy. It's like, shut up, you're going off that shoulder. I am very much worthy, and just getting out there to help other people be more confident as well, because of the struggles that I've done. It's not fair, and it's not fun. And I don't want them to have to wait until they're in their 50s to enjoy life. It's like, let's start younger. And that's, I've never lived with any regrets. And people are like, well, what do you regret? I'm like, nothing. I'm like, because I did it. I can't change it. So what am I going to do today? What am I going to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good attitude to have, because I did have a few regrets, but then I'd have to pull myself back in and say, well, but if I didn't, then I wouldn't have this.
Mm-hmm.
It shaped who I am today. So I embrace it, but that doesn't mean I had to like it.
Yeah, I don't, I definitely do not like a lot of what I did, a lot of choices, a lot of situations, and I just look at it, lesson learned. What am I going to not do? What am I going to do next? What am I going to do different? And, we're always learning, and if we're not learning, we're dying. So I just look at it like lesson learned. know not to do that again.
Well,
A few times.
Kim, we went over like I always do. My God, I just keep talking, but we're about 15 minutes, 10 minutes. I can't tell time anymore. I'm so tired. It's Friday. Hi guys.
Hey!
It was really great to get to know you all over again, and thank you for sharing some of your story with us. And I will post in the comments or in the post below where people can find you. I've got your agency information. Do you have an email or anything set up for your CBD stuff yet?
Oh, yes. My
Okay.
sister made me some beautiful cards.
Woo-hoo! So send that over to me and I'll get that up there for you. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. She's been trying to take care of me on the side. She doesn't do
I
it.
love the photos.
Yes. Yeah. She came over. She's like, you need headshots. And she just came over with her iPhone and she's like, all right, let's do this.
Yep.
So she's amazing.
Nice.
I love her to death and she's taking good care of me. So give her a little hobby.
Good. All right, Kim. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Yes. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.